What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another little Ani-mity discussion video here, where today we are going to be discussing another one of my absolute favorite shows, and a show that's inspired so much of who I am now, and that's inspired so much of my development and my path to where I am now, and a show that is very near and dear to my heart. I literally have a video that I'm writing a script for where I just go into discussing why I love this show so much and a lot more of just what this show means to me in the future. But today I want to take a little bit of a little time to just look analytically at what it is I think that this show does. As someone who wants to go into script writing and as someone who just is a admirer of a good story. And I do think that there is a good story that they're telling with this show. What show is it I'm talking about? Rwby. Rwby is a show that is just very near and dear to my heart. I want to do this show proud. I've been running through so many drafts of this video where I'm trying to think about like how it is I want to go about it, and it just every single time I become a babbling, disoriented mess, kind of like I am in most of my Owl House videos, because I just love this show so much, and the show means so much to me. And these characters, this world, this story means so much to me that I wanted to be able to do something to make to do the fandom proud, to do the writers proud, to be able to do so many of the people who've poured so much love into the show proud. And every single time I've done this video, it never really came across that way. Um, and that's why I've mostly put off doing this video. And then there's also some other stuff which I don't really know how I want to go about discussing it, which is also part of the delay in making this video. But I think I finally have more or less the idea in mind, and hopefully you guys will at least get somewhat of a grasp behind what it is I love so much about this show, and what it is I love so much about these characters and their arcs. So, without further ado, let's begin. So, what is Rwby? To those of you who've never seen the show before, which, by the way, highly recommend you guys do. It's in a weird place where there's some parts of it which I just feel like it's in a weird place. I will admit to that. I will admit to that, but I do still think that this show is absolutely amazing, and I would highly recommend that people check it out if they ever have the chance to. Um, the show focuses around four characters, all going to what you might as well call like Hogwarts, I guess. It's a school where people are trained to use these abilities known as semblances, kind of like quirks in My Hero Academia, which, if you haven't seen My Hero Academia, it's like a superpower in a way. It's a superpower that not a lot of people possess, and people are trained to use this power to be able to protect people from these creatures known as the creatures of Grimm. The creatures of Grimm are these like creatures of darkness, of these negativity, of this energy in humankind that is just the worst parts of us. And just that on its own, I think is so fascinating. Like, just that we've created these demons based off just the absolute worst parts, our anxiety, our fear, our everything, and given them these grotesque forms, given them these massive forms. On its own, I think is really interesting and really cool to see. So from just the get-go, I've already grown to love the show, especially as someone who's so interested in how anxiety works on the brain, and the show does so much to tap into that, but I'll get into more of that a little bit later. And then from just the first episode, with just like the little snippets and little things that they do with their characters scattered throughout just the first episode, already I am in love with the show. Rwby as a character of herself, just this little bursting ray of sunshine. I absolutely adore Rwby, and I adore her positive energy and the amount of spirit and drive she puts toward absolutely everything she does. She is miles beyond her time, I would say. Like, just it's amazing to me to see someone who's as young as Rwby accomplish as much as she has, and to see just how amazing she is and how she's adapted so much of this. I've grown to absolutely love seeing her growth over this show. All these characters' growths. Um, for Rwby, there's still so much more we can see. There's so much more that can define her character. So there's not a lot I can really say for her. But just from the start, seeing how she views this world and just this positive energy. I fully can see why so many people are enamored by her and why so many people want to follow behind her, why so many people trust her and believe in her potential. So that, like, the way they arced into that at the beginning in the formation of the main squad, the main team that the show focuses around, has such a beautiful progression that I adore the show for. And then you have other characters who also have a lot of development in the same way. It's not just Ruby's story, it's all these characters' stories, and the way that they intertwine them is just beautiful. You have Weiss coming from a rich family, trying to find a way to define herself beyond her family name. Define herself as Weiss, not as Weiss Schnee, and her development, her arc, defining what it is to be Weiss, and defining who it is that she really is, I think is really fascinating. And then we have Yang, who, in a way, felt the more solid of the characters. She felt like she always knew who she was supposed to be and what it is she was supposed to do in this world. But then, as you go on, you realize there's so many shades to what it is that makes up Yang's character. There's so many things that make up this raging fireball that we've grown to love since the first season, and this loving character who's done so much for Ruby, who does so much for her friends, and who's always there as, like, the backbone of the team. She's the one who's always giving her support, always there with the advice, and always there to be the strong pillar for her team. But then later on, as the series goes on, shows that she's not as sturdy and stable as I always thought she was. There is a weakness to her, and seeing her realize that and grow past that has been amazing to see, and it adds so much depth to her character. But by far, of the main four characters, my favorite was Blake. There's so much about Blake which I felt like I could personally relate to. There's so much about Blake that I found, like, maybe not so much the being discriminated against, being cast aside, that kind of thing, but her analysis of herself was something that resonated with me and that made me want to see so much more for her character and want to understand so much more of what she's been through. And that's made me love Blake so much as a character. I believe it was in the second volume that she said that when problems got to their peak, she ran. Now, there's a lot I could say for my own personal life and how it is I relate to that, but it's just when you've heard the amount of trauma, the amount of things that she's been through with Adam, with the discrimination that she's been put through as a faunus. For those of you who don't know, faunus are these animal-human hybrids that exist in Ruby. The discrimination that they've all been through. And seeing Blake be the one to take a stand against that is something that I admired her for on its own when I learned that. But then learning just the uncertainty in her goal for that when it came to Adam, when it came to hurting others. She doesn't want to hurt others to make her point known. She wants people to be able to stand side by side. She believes in the ability of standing side by side, in the ability of unity. And it's something about that that I just loved in Blake, and just her acknowledgement that she was always afraid when it came to these scenarios, that she ran. And then she later grew to be able to face her demons, to be able to grow past her demons and face them, was something that I always loved about Blake's character, and that I've always loved seeing in Blake. Then we get to the interesting discussion of Team Juniper. And boy howdy do I have a lot of things I could say about them. Um, Team Juniper has a lot of members of its team that I simultaneously love to pieces and also don't really know how I want to feel about them. I guess we could start the list off with Pyrrha. Um, there's so much about Pyrrha that I absolutely love. I mean, I love how kind she is to others, how she doesn't let a lot of the confidence go to her head. I love how she has so many of these little imperfections that do make up her character. She's portrayed in the beginning as perfect, but then as we go through the show, we realize that she isn't as far off from everyone else as everyone makes it sound. Just her development with Jean, her development as this teacher to Jean, I thought was really, really strong. And for the lovely, wonderful, brave character that Pyrrha is, her passing in the show will always leave a mark. I don't know if there's a Ruby fan alive who says that they don't miss Pyrrha in some way. She has such a strong role in the show that I don't think any character will ever be able to fill, be it I guess there was a theory going about that Penny was going to be the one to replace Pyrrha, but I don't think that's happening anymore. um, but there's just so many characters who have come and gone in this show, but I don't think any one of them is close to matching what Pyrrha represents to this community and to this show. And then I guess we'll take a look at Jean, who is also in a very weird state with me. He I grew to appreciate him more as a character through reading the fan fictions that you guys have made for Ruby. And not to say I don't like Jean that much in the show. I appreciate like his underdog story, him going from someone who had no experience and his growth as a huntsman has been one of the most satisfying things I've seen over the entire show. Getting to see him grow as a leader, grow as a fighter, grow as a huntsman has been amazing to see. I just wish we could see so much more from him. I just wish we could see so much more. And I guess, like, he definitely has a lot of moments that I think don't really go. Not a lot of people are really talking about. I mean, like, no one really talks about how he was learning from Pyrrha through the videos during Volume 4. I'm doubting they're going to really focus on the fact that John was in a position where he was forced to kill Penny. There's so many things about Jean I just feel like doesn't really get the attention that it deserves, and I do wish that we got to see a lot more from Jean, because there is so much to his character that I think is interesting, and I'm happy to see that fans, I guess, realize that, they've seen that in the character, and that they do so much with him. And then we have Nora and brain fart. Then we have Nora and Ren, who are also, like, I love the two as an entity. I love what the two of them bring to the show. I do love the little relationship and the buildup of that they've gotten with each other over the course of the many years the show has been on. But at the end of the day, I feel like they've really run their course about as far as it can go. Like, anything to see Nora and Ren get together and seeing the two of them being able to grow any more than they already have, I think would be great. But I mean, after revealing their backstory and after revealing so much about them, I really don't see other ways they can improve. Nora's speech about being wanting to be more than just the strong girl, or being more than just be strong, hit stuff. I respect that, and I want to see them do more with that plot line, but things I never really thought of Nora as just that is the thing. Like I've always thought of Nora as she was the quirky, the energetic, the in a way, like the person who kept everyone upbeat when it was really hard for everyone to. She was the yin to Ren's yang. And the way the two of them work together is absolutely beautiful. And getting to see their development at the end of the fourth volume, I thought was great to see. But then after that, it felt like really there's not much more I could see myself wanting, or they haven't given me a reason to want to see more from them. I'm happy to have them on board. I'd love to see more of them in the show, but really, I don't know where else they can go with a lot of this. There's a lot of things with this show and a lot of characters who I wish I could give as in-depth of an analysis of, because I mean there's characters like Ozpin, there's characters like Crow, there's a bunch of characters who I would love to give much more of an analysis to, but there's just so much we don't know about them, and that I feel like I don't really know enough about them to really say anything. For Ozpin, I remember loving Ozpin when he was introduced in the show initially, but now there's just so much I want to know about him. How much did he know about Summer? How much is he really keeping from them? And there's just so much about Ozpin as an entity that I'm like, was that really Oz, or was that just a facade that he put on, or something like that? Same with Salem. There's not like a lot of these characters also just like their presences in the show are felt, but I don't have a lot of substance really to them to be like, yes, this character has this, and this. Like for Salem as an example, I understand her objective. I understand her like reasons behind her objective. But there's something about Salem as an entity that I'm like, what really makes this character Salem? What makes Salem Salem? And there's things about her personality, there's things about her as an overall character that I'm curious about. Her as a villain in the show, I think, is brilliant. Like, I wish Cinder, in a way, got some of the similar love that Salem's gotten over the course of her run in the show, because I just absolutely love what they've done with Salem. I believe in doubt being one of the most powerful weapons someone can use in any kind of conflict. And the way that Salem utilizes it when it came to toying with Ironwood, when it came to turning the people against the gods, every instance she's done it, it's been done to such amazing effect, and I want to see so much more of that done in the show. I want to see some of that being more highlighted, and I feel like Cinder can definitely play on that. It felt like she was playing on that in the third season, and maybe even in the fifth season. But after that, it feels like she's not really trying that. She's trying to do something different, and I'm curious to see what that different thing is. But it just isn't really catching me quite the way that I would hope that I want it to. So I'm interested to see where a lot of these characters do end up going. I'm interested to see what they're going to overall do with them in the show. But I mean, at least the core 8 characters that I just mentioned, I feel they're pretty solid. I feel like they have so much to them that's absolutely grounded and that they could do so much more with. But they're solid. There's things about them that I understand, that I believe, and that I know of them as an entity, as a character, and as so much more. But I just want to see more of where they're going with it. And honestly, I'm thinking maybe the next video I do talking about Ruby to any capacity is going to be talking about probably my favorite team of them all in Team Coffee. I can do a whole video just talking about Team Coffee because from the books to just so much that I've learned about the characters now, I love Team Coffee so much, and I honestly think they might be even a better team and a stronger team than Team Ruby. And I don't just mean like, physically they have the more experience, all that kind of stuff. I just mean the way they care for each other, the way that they have bonded together. They have a bond that's forged in the strongest stuff. And they have so much to them that I want to be able to analyze in a video all of its own. And getting to explore these characters is something that I want to see so much more of. I mean, be it in more books like what we've gotten so far, be it in the show itself, just that level of writing that we've gotten in, and I always get the names of these wrong, After the Fall and Before the Dawn. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong about those titles, but the writing that went into those books and the development these characters got, I thought was absolutely beautiful. But that's gonna have to wait till another video. But that will just about wrap up my discussion on Ruby, my discussion on part of why this show means so much to me. I could definitely record another video talking about a lot more in depth, kind of where I was the moment I started watching the show and why it means so much to me, but I just don't think it would fit in the scope of what I wanted to get across with this one. So hopefully you guys ended up enjoying this. Thank you guys so much for watching with me so far. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys would like to see me do next. I'm loose with pretty much anything you guys are going to suggest. I'm happy to do any number of things. It's just more so having the passion and having the drive to do so. But otherwise, I'm here just to talk. That's pretty much the main thing I'm here for. I'm here for an experience. I'm here for just lending that ear sometimes to people to talk to. Sometimes I'm just here to entertain, give that little bit of a break, that background noise for you guys, but I'm always happy to just be there. And that all being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.